This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Bruchim Haba, and welcome everyone. We continue in the Yesod Hateshuva of Rabbeinu Yonah. Rabbeinu Yonah's great sefer, Yesod Hateshuva. We're continuing in my edition. It's on page Lamed Beis. V'af al pishav hayishanim asher hishluch me'alav, and even for your old sins that you threw away. Yeh tamid taya u'mischaret u'mevakish me'ez hatzur baruch hu l'mchoisa misefer hazachronos. Even on your old sins that you threw away, you should always regret and feel bad and have charata and ask from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to wipe them out of the book of memory. Like we find in the Nusach HaTfilah, Rav Goldberg points out in Avinu Malkeinu, that after we're mispalel, that Hashem should be soleach al avanoseinu, we say mechoik barachamecha harabim kol shitrei chaveseinu. Now, v'gam ya'ana nafshei aleim, you should, if possible, afflict yourself over it. V'im adam chalashu, if you're weak, ve'eno yachal lisbol inuyim kashim, you can't tolerate harsh distress. It's not like you could roll around in the snow or lay down on pins, v'taniyos, and fasts. Yim yimashech mita'avasa, you should pull away from your desire. Ve'al yamale ta'avasai b'ma'achalav u'v'mishteh, do not fulfill your desires in food and drink. Don't give in to all of your needs. Don't fulfill all your desires in food and drink. V'chein amar harav Rab Ravam ben Rab David Zochron L'Bracha shahaya echad mechasidei olam. And the Ravid said as well, I believe this is Ravid the second, the Ravid the Bal Hasagos. He taught Hageder Hagadol Hamufla Menias Hama'achalos. The greatest fence, the most wondrous Geder, is refraining from eating. Now this doesn't mean fasting completely, but what this refers to is that when you're eating and you're allowed to eat and you need to eat, and a person on our level is required to eat for health, for happiness, but eating is a pitfall. Chazon Ish writes in a letter in Chelek Aleph Siman Chaf, he says you have to be very careful from eating just for enjoyment, because just like in the contamination of the body, there's Rishon L'Tuma, Ava Tuma, Avi Avios Tuma, the Tumas HaNefesh of Miloi Taiva, there is Tuma by eating and drinking. This is one of the lowest things, and it's ma'akiv learning, like Tosfos brings in Ksubas on Av Kav Daled, that before a person prays that the Torah should enter his body, he should pray that treats do not enter his body. And the explanation of the Ravid, says Rabbeinu Yonah, V'chein pirush devarav, the explanation of the Ravid is, Al yaniach legamri shelo yoichal basar v'lo yishta yayin. Do not forsake completely eating meat and drinking wine. Don't stop say, okay, I'm going to become a vegetarian. No. Kidayecha masha asar Torah. It's enough what the Torah prohibited. The Torah didn't prohibit these things. Ach be'is ma'achaloi, while you're eating, while the food is in lefanav, v'oidenu taiv, you're still hungry. Lechel mimenu, to eat from it. Yaniach l'chvoid haboirei mita'avasa, you should forsake for the honor of Hashem, give up something that you desire. The Sefer Chasidim writes in Yesod Beis of Goldberg quotes, the shoyresh of Chasidus is when a person is mesaveh for something desirous, and he forsakes his Yetzer out of Yiras Hashem. Not that he's afraid of punishment, but he's afraid that if he indulges in taiva, then it's going to mitigate his love for Hashem. And one's love for Hashem needs to be wholesome, complete, like it says, Tamim Tiyam Hashem Leikecha. This is a type of Yiras Shamayim, being afraid that you might not reach the highest levels of Ahava. The Gra writes in his letter, until the day of death, a person should afflict himself not with not eating, but with silence, and silencing his taiva, and this is tshuva. Says Rabbeinu Yoina, V'al yoichal kedei tavasa, don't eat everything you desire. V'derech zeh yimne'eu mechet. Acting in this way you will refrain from sin, because as Rabbeinu Yoina writes in the Shari Tshuva, that the Ikar Tshuva is cutting yourself off from those things that brought you to sin in the first place. Like Rabbeinu Yoina writes in the Shari Tshuva, in Shar Aleph, Islamid, the 9th Ikar of Tshuva is Shviras Tava Hagashmis, focusing on that Taiva causes a person to sin and to keep away from that which brought you to sin. V'yizkarenu ahavas haboire yoiser mitainis echad b'shavua. It will remind you of love of Hashem more than fasting once a week. Refraining every time you want to eat something. Okay, you have a steak, so eat the steak. But leave over a little piece that you still want to eat. Leave that over. Leave over a little bit. B'chol yom tamid, kizeh b'chol yom tamid, because this is a way of afflicting yourself daily, as opposed to just afflicting yourself once a week. Better each time you eat, leave over a little bit, a tiny amount that you wanted, and you're refraining from. That's more valuable, that has more chashivos than even fasting once a week. Because it's every time you eat and every time you drink, yaniach mitava, so you leave off some of your taiva l'chvoid haboire, for the honor of Hashem. Rabbi Cheskel Lavenstein brings that in the name of the Altar of Kelm, that even if it's just the last portion, but if it's something that you want, so not indulging in that is a form of yisurin and affliction. V'yasim libay la Torah, and put your heart to the Torah. Im hayaragel lumay daf echad. If you were accustomed to learning one daf, yilmaid shnei daf, and you should learn 2 daf. Ki gadol talmud shemevi lidei ma'isa. Learning is great, that it brings to action. V'yameyaser atzmai b'chviyas yitzray. You should afflict yourself by subjugating your yetzer hara, l'Torah, ula mitzvahs, for learning of Torah, for doing mitzvahs. V'heim yisurei ahava. Those are truly yisurei ahava. Iker tshuva is me'ahava, and that comes from Esek HaTorah. And if if you're accustomed to learning 1 blot, learn 2 blot. Talmud is great; it brings tamaisa. From here we see that the chashivas of Talmud Torah is not only the inherent quality of Talmud Torah, but because it brings tamaisa. If you look at the Medrash Rabbah in Parshas Miketz, it's brought over there. Rabbi Alexandri said, "There's no one in this world who doesn't have Yisurim. Fortunate is someone whose Yisurim come from the Torah, like it says in Mitorascha Salamedenu." Any Yisurim that are mevatel a person from Torah are Yisurim of retribution. Yisurim that are not mevatel a person from Torah are Yisurim of Ahava. And Reb Chaim Volozhiner brings in the Ruach Chaim, Parak Vav Mishnah Vav, someone who's a Chacham, don't wait until God sends you Yisurim. Accept upon yourself Yisurim by learning Torah, by not indulging so much, and in Hasmada, and in elevating the status of Torah. So you're basically self-inflicting yourself. And instead of other Yisurim, you fulfill your Yisurim this way. And Rev Goldberg cites the Stipler in the Krana de Igarta in the 17th letter, that if somebody wants to be Mesagif himself for Kaparas Avonos, he should review something that he already knows very well, because something he knows very well he does not have a cheshek to learn, and that's really learning L'Shem Shamayim, and that would constitute as Yisurim. Likewise, the Stipler says, fortunate is someone who his Yisurim come from Torah. Because when the Yisurim come from Torah, then it's a great zechus, because you're bearing it for the sake of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So basically Rabbeinu Yonah says that even averos that you fully did tshuva for, you should always ask Hashem to eradicate completely. And the best kind of yisurim are refraining when you're still have a desire, you're not hungry anymore, you just want to eat, to refrain and leave over a little bit, and also to apply yourself extremely diligently to Torah. And fortunate is someone who his yisurim come from learning. He's under pressure to understand, to delve, to strain himself to learn, strain himself to review, strain himself to teach, to write, strain a person. Sometimes it's not so convenient to have a seder or have a shiur or to walk to a shiur. But doing so is yisurim of ahava. Okay, thank you everybody. Be'ezus Hashem, stay tuned for the next time. We'll probably have, I would imagine, 3 or 4 more on the Yesod Hateshuva Rabbeinu Yonah. And I don't know that tomorrow we'll have time, but if there is more time, we'll keep you posted. Okay, everyone? Agut Yar, Agabench Yar, Agamach Simataiva. Kol Tov, Kol Tov. All the best.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.